What is up, everyone? JD here. Hope you're all doing well today. Today I'm going to be doing a review of a knife that I used to own in a smaller variation, and that is going to be the Benchmade Adamas. I actually forgot to get permission to give a shout out to the individual that sent this in. So if you don't mind, just leave a comment down below and I'll pin that comment because I just want to say thanks. I appreciate it. And sorry, I forgot to ask before I recorded this. What I'm going to be doing today is going through the knife specs, going to be doing some size comparisons on this rather large knife, and then we'll go ahead and talk about my thoughts and impressions. Let's go ahead and jump into it. First, the Benchmade Adamas has a 3.78 inch coated crewware blade, one of my favorite steels. It has a 5.11 inch handle with G10 on top of steel liners. Overall length is 8.89 inches and claimed weight, when I looked it up, 6.45 ounces, and it definitely feels like a heavier knife. Let's go ahead and check that weight real quick. Yeah, that feels more like it. 7.8 ounces. It definitely felt heavier. I'm not quite sure. I think I went to Blade HQ and I just need to stop going to their website because I feel like they let me down more often than not when it comes to some of these specs. Let's go ahead and run through some quick size comparisons to give you a reference just how big this knife actually is. First up, we'll bring out the Benchmade Bug Out. As you can see, the Bug Out is much smaller, and we're even going to bring out the SIG K320 by Hogue. And you can see the Adamas is much larger than both these knives. Funny enough, this actually makes me think of Sat2 Dave. I know he doesn't love crossbar locks. I don't even know if he likes them, to be honest, but this knife totally makes me think about him. Let's go ahead and get these out of the way. A couple more size references for you. First, we're going to bring out the Spyderco Shaman. As you can see, Shaman's a little bit closer because it is a little bit longer than the K320, but not quite as big as the Adamas. And here it is against the 20.5, the AD 20.5 from Demco. You can see this is just a very large knife overall. Last two are going to be my budget knives comparison. I like to do this for anyone out there that is on a budget that might be watching just because they're enjoying the hobby, but on a budget so they can't really afford anything more high end. So here is the $30 USA made Buck 110 Plus and the Raccoon by Vostede. I believe these are going to be coming back in stock. It is much more girthy than the 110 Plus, but the 110 is really close in length, a little bit shorter on both ends of the knife. I'm going to go ahead and get the 110 out of here, and I want you to see how thick this is compared to other knives, so we're going to do thickness profile comparisons as well. All right, let's get it up against the Vostede first. As you can see, just a much thicker knife than the Vostede. We're going to use all the full-size knives. Here it is against the Shaman. Much thicker than the Shaman, and because of the V-shape to the SIG K320, I think this is going to be really, yeah, it is exactly the same thickness on that end, but as I mentioned, this has that V-shape, and that's one of the reasons why I love the ergonomics on that knife. Let me go ahead and jump into my thoughts and impressions. So I loved the Mini Adamas, almost kept it, but because I am a small channel, and I do need funds in order to be able to get to other knives that I want to review on the channel or experience, I did have to end up moving it along. The Mini Adamas was like a miniature pocket tank, and I said that about the Chavez that I had a while back, and I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on the name of that particular knife, but this is definitely much more full-sized. Dave, I really think like this, I could be wrong, this is much bigger than the Eclipse. This is giving me what I would assume are XM24 vibes. Like, this is a very full-sized, big, heavy, beefy knife. It feels very comfortable in hand, and it definitely feels like it could be hard used. I'm not quite sure if there's any difference in the size of the crossbar lock on the back of this knife, but again, that 100% lockup on the tang of the blade, I like that for security purposes because I feel like that is definitely going to solidify how locked up it is. And then if the pivot is a decent size, it is going to be a very secure folding knife for heavy duty hard use tasks. Falls right in hand. I mean, my hand falls right in place on this knife, and I actually have some room where I can slide back and move up. Unlike the Mini Adamas, just I was locked in right where those contours were. I was dead in between those two with no room to move up or back. The ramp here for the choil, I mean, I still don't know what task you're going to be performing with your finger this far back, but I will say that's nice because this ramp here, if you are doing puncture task, it is going to help lock the front finger because you have this jimping here for grip. If you have gloves, you're less likely to slide forward. And here as well, oh, you know what? I think I looked up what this has. This is the CPM D2, and I do remember him telling me that. So I apologize. I took the stats down on the Adamas that had the crew wear on Blade HQ, but he did tell me this has the CPM D2, I believe, on this knife. So my apologies there, but back to the ergonomics and this part of the blade here. I do like that these ramps kind of act like a barrier from you sliding forward on the knife, depending on how hard you're using this. And this tank feels like it can be used hard. It is a thick geometry. As soon as you sharpen this, it's going to continue to get thicker. But again, being that this feels like it's overbuilt and built for hard use tasks, that's okay. I feel like this knife is not meant to be an EDC slicer. This is meant to be hard use, and it definitely feels like that is what is meant for. It has a very nice coating, very clean here. Very nice edge on the knife as well. So nothing wrong with that at all. Good sharpening choil. So when you come up and sharpen, trying to get my nail to line up, the curve is really hard to tell. You probably can get a few sharpenings out of it before you get into a smile situation, which is okay. Strong tip, so you can pry with this a little bit. Not that I ever recommend that with your knife. That shouldn't be an issue whatsoever. Great access to these lock bars. Man, you can feel the weight of that blade. Like, you have to wait a minute for it to get down there. It's very tempting to let go of it early, but you definitely can feel the weight when you flip it out. You definitely want some strength to do that. And it is very tempting to let go of that lock bar early for the close there. You can see I'm definitely struggling with it. You gotta just do it a little bit more deliberate, I think, to deploy it and close it. I love Benchmade clips. They always go in and out of the pocket well, and ergonomically they don't impede your hand in the way that that's going to feel in pocket. It does leave a lot of the knife out, but again, I think for what this is intended for, that's a good thing. It does give you an option for the lanyard back here as well if you do like that sort of thing. Overall, this is just going to be an overview of the knife. It looks like a very pristine example. I didn't want to do a lot of cutting with it, and again, because I had the Mini Adamas and I knew what that was capable of, I didn't feel it necessary to do that. I'm familiar with crossbar locks and Omega Springs. I like that system because it is a little bit more safe and secure and easy to operate one-handed than it is a frame lock where you got to get the lock bar over and your fingers in the blade path temporarily. So I like it better than a frame lock for that intent and purposes. Not to say that I don't like frame locks, but I think these systems are really, really good, especially because it's that lockup. I would say the one that I like better than this would definitely be the Shark Lock from Demco, and then close behind the crossbar locks would be the compression locks, all those getting the finger out of the blade path with heavy duty use in mind with that lock style. So really cool knife. If you don't like the larger knife, it's very easy to recommend the Mini Adamas. Just keep in mind this is a more robust geometry, but it is a very well-made knife with very comfortable ergonomics and very good grip position for any type of heavy-duty task that you might be performing. Thanks again for sending this out and letting me take a look at it. I really appreciate it. It's nice and it helps ease a little bit of pressure off me so I don't have to always sell things in my inventory and always be looking at what I can let go, because it is hard for me to choose. So this has really helped me out, and I am very grateful for that. If you enjoyed this overview, do me a favor, leave a like, consider subscribing if you like the content. I'd love to have you follow along. Thanks to everyone out there that is subscribed and regularly following the channel. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you have a great week, and until next time, peace.